You know how sometimes a story just pops up seemingly out of nowhere?
Oh, absolutely. And suddenly it's all over your feed.
Exactly. That's kind of what happened here with Elon Musk and two influencers, Tiffany Fong and Ashley Sinclair. We've got this Us Weekly article that's going to be our guide today.
Right. So our plan is to really dig into the claims, the denials, everything surrounding Musk and these two individuals using this Us Weekly piece.
Which pulls from a few places, right? I see the Wall Street Journal mentioned.
Yeah, the WSJ, plus social media posts from Fong and Musk themselves, and some background on Sinclair. It's quite a collection of inputs.
It really is. And it makes you think straight away about, how a big financial paper tells a story versus someone's personal X feed. Different angles.
Totally different. So where do we start? The Wall Street Journal report seems like the catalyst here.
Yeah, let's get straight to it. What exactly did the WSJ claim that sparked all this buzz?
Okay, so according to Us Weekly, the WSJ reported on Tuesday, April 15th, that's 2025, that Elon Musk, who's 53, allegedly asked Tiffany Fong to carry his child.
Wow. Okay. Straight into the deep end.
And the kicker is, this was supposedly despite them never having met in person.
Never met. That's quite something. How did they even connect then? According to the report, was it just online?
Apparently, yes. The WSJ said Musk started following Fong on X back in the summer of 2024.
Right.
Their sources suggested he just noticed her social media presence. So, yeah, a digital connection first.
And this online interaction, it apparently had some financial side to it for Fong.
That's what the Journal claimed, yeah, that Fong made something like $21,000.
$21,000. In how long?
In just 2 weeks, back in November 2024. And this was supposedly linked to her interactions with Musk on social media.
Huh. So, okay, there's this online following, maybe some financial benefit, and then this alleged offer comes.
Exactly. The WSJ citing these people familiar with the matter.
Right, the classic anonymous sources.
You know how it is. They said around that same time, November 2024, Musk supposedly messaged Fong about, having his child together.
Just like that. Through messages.
That's the claim. Pretty direct, especially given the lack of, any in-person meeting.
So how did Fong react? Did the WSJ report on her response?
It did. It claimed she turned him down.
Okay. Any reason given?
Yeah, the report says she preferred a, quote, more traditional nuclear family. Fair enough.
Fair enough. But there's more to it.
Well, the WSJ also added that she supposedly told friends she was worried about the potential financial hit. The money she might lose by saying no.
Okay, so that 21K figure comes back into play, the potential for more income there. It's complicated.
Very. Blurs the lines, doesn't it? Personal life, online influence, potential earnings.
It really does. And the WSJ story didn't stop there, did it? There were consequences to her declining, supposedly.
According to the report, yes. It claimed Musk criticized her for telling people about the request, and then he unfollowed her on X.
Ouch. And that had a knock-on effect.
Apparently so. The WSJ claimed her follower count dropped after that, and so did her earnings from the platform, a potential cause and effect.
Okay, so that's a pretty detailed narrative from the Wall Street Journal side, as reported by us. But crucially, what does Tiffany Fong say? Did she respond?
She did respond, very publicly, in fact. Us Weekly notes that on Thursday, April 17th, so just a couple of days after the WSJ piece, she went on X herself.
And what was her take? Was it a denial?
A very clear denial. She explicitly said she didn't feed the story to the WSJ or anyone else.
Right.
And she added that when the WSJ contacted her for comment, she specifically asked not to be included.
So she wanted nothing to do with the article.
Seems like it. She finished off with a pretty blunt statement, too.
What was that?
Us Weekly quotes her saying, "If you're waiting for me to comment publicly, it's not going to happen. Thanks."
Wow. Okay, so unequivocal denial of involvement and shutting down further discussion.
Pretty much leaves no room for doubt about her stance on the WSJ report itself.
And Us Weekly mentioned this wasn't even the first time she dealt with rumors like this.
That's right. They point back to February 19th, 2025. She'd posted on Instagram then, denying pregnancy rumors.
Why'd that post say?
It was something like, "Insane that I need to announce I am not pregnant," with a laughing emoji. And the caption added, "We live in a clown world."
Clown world. Okay, so this speculation's been around for a bit.
It provides some context. Yeah, this wasn't totally out of the blue for her.
Okay, so we have the WSJ's claims, Fong's very strong denial. What about Musk? How did he react to the WSJ story about Fong?
Well, his public response has been minimal. According to Us Weekly, he hasn't directly addressed the specific claims about asking Fong to carry his child.
No statement or anything.
Not directly on that point, but he did post something on X on the same day the WSJ article came out, April 15th.
And what was the post?
Just 3 letters and a symbol. TMZ WSJ.
TMZ greater than WSJ. What do we read into that? Dismissal. Siding with celebrity gossip over financial news.
It's ambiguous, isn't it? Could be seen as undermining the WSJ's credibility, maybe implying TMZ is somehow more accurate or relevant in this context. It's hard to say for sure.
Definitely cryptic. And Us Weekly tried to get an official comment.
They mentioned reaching out to his representatives, yeah. But the article doesn't state if they got any reply. So really just that one X post is his public reaction so far regarding the Fong claims.
Okay. Now, the Wall Street Journal piece via Us Weekly didn't just talk about Tiffany Fong. It also brought up Ashley St. Clair. This feels like a separate, though related, storyline.
It is, yeah. A distinct situation, but covered in the same report. The WSJ made some pretty big claims about her and Musk, too.
Like what?
Well, the journal alleged that Musk offered St. Clair a huge sum, a one-time payment of $15 million.
$15 million. Wow.
Plus another $100,000 per month. And this was supposedly to keep their child a secret.
Keep the child a secret. That's quite the claim. And did the WSJ offer any backing for Musk being the father?
They did. They reported that a recent paternity test apparently showed a 99.9999% probability of paternity for Musk concerning St. Clair's child.
99.9999%.
Okay.
Like, that's about as conclusive as it gets, medically speaking.
Pretty much, yes. It strongly suggests paternity based on that reported test result.
And St. Clair herself has been public about having a child with Musk.
Yes. Us Weekly reminds us that back in February 2025, she announced on X that she'd given birth 5 months earlier.
To Musk's child.
That's what she stated. A son named Romulus, claimed as Musk's 13th child.
13th child.
Okay.
And there's legal action involved now, too.
The WSJ reported St. Clair filed for full custody.
Full custody.
And she also apparently requested Musk show up for a court hearing in New York on May 29th. The purpose was supposedly to sort out custody and also, interestingly, to argue against another paternity test.
Against another test. Maybe because she felt the first one was definitive.
That would be the logical assumption. Yeah, if you have a 99.9999 result, why do another one?
Right. So this situation with St. Clair feels, well, quite different from the Fong allegations. More concrete, maybe, with the child's birth announced and legal filings.
Definitely seems to have more documented elements, at least as reported.
So how has Musk responded to this situation with St. Clair and Romulus? Has he been as quiet as with the Fong claims?
Actually, no. He's addressed this one more directly, although maybe not with complete certainty. Us Weekly points to an X post he made on March 31st, 2025.
Okay, what did he say then?
He posted, and I quote from the article, "I don't know if the child is mine or not, but I'm not against finding out. No court order is needed."
Don't know if the child is mine or not. That seems slightly at odds with a 99.99999% probability test, if that report is accurate.
It does raise questions, doesn't it? He acknowledges the possibility, seems open to confirming it, but expresses uncertainty despite the reported test.
And he also mentioned financial support in that same post.
He did. He stated that even with his uncertainty, he's already given Ashley St. Clair $2.5 million.
$2.5 million.
And he added, he's sending her $500,000 per year.
$500,000 a year. Okay, so significant financial support is flowing, regardless of his stated uncertainty about paternity.
Exactly. Which again makes you wonder about the full picture there. Why provide that level of support if you genuinely don't know? Or perhaps it's a sign he does know or strongly suspects.
Lots of potential interpretations. And wasn't there a brief mention of Musk's own father weighing in?
Yes, just a quick reference in the US Weekly piece. His father, Elon Musk, was apparently on a podcast called Wide Awake back in February 2025, and reportedly said his son hasn't been a good dad.
Oof. Okay, another layer from within the family, adding to the public perception.
Just adds another dimension to the whole narrative around Musk's family life.
So putting it all together from this Us Weekly summary, we have these two quite different scenarios involving Musk and influencers, both surfaced by the WSJ.
Yeah, on one hand, the alleged surrogacy request to Tiffany Fong met with her strong denial and Musk's cryptic TMZ WSJ comment.
Right. And on the other hand, the situation with Ashley Sinclair and their son Romulus.
Exactly. Where there's a reported high-probability paternity test, a public birth announcement, custody filings, and Musk himself acknowledging potential paternity and significant financial support.
The contrast is really stark, isn't it? Especially coming from the same initial WSJ report.
It really highlights how complex these situations can be and how differently they can play out publicly. Fong pushing back hard against the narrative, while the St. Clair situation seems to involve more direct acknowledgments, at least financially, from Musk.
And Musk's own reactions are key here, too. Very different approaches to the two parts of the story.
Definitely. Dismissive tweet for one, a more detailed, if still uncertain, statement for the other. It tells you something about how he or his team choose to engage with different types of public scrutiny.
So wrapping up our deep dive based on this Us Weekly article, we've looked at the WSJ's claims about Musk allegedly asking Tiffany Fong to carry his child, her firm denial, and Musk's rather brief dismissal of the WSJ.
Check. And then the separate, more involved story around Ashley St. Clair, the reported paternity test, her announcement, the legal moves, and Musk's acknowledgement of maybe being the father and providing substantial funds.
It really gives you a snapshot, doesn't it? Even if it's a complicated and contested one.
A snapshot into the intersection of immense wealth, social media influence, personal relationships, and how it all gets reported and debated.
Absolutely. And maybe a final thought for everyone listening. Just consider how these stories get built. You have a major newspaper report citing anonymous sources for some parts, then you have direct denials and specific statements on social media.
Right, and it all swirls together online. What does this whole episode, the claims, the denials, the money, the cryptic comments really tell us about, I guess, the nature of truth and privacy when you're dealing with figures this prominent in the digital age?
Yeah, how much do we ever really know, and how much is shaped by the platforms and the press?
Definitely something to chew on. Thanks for digging into this with us today.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more updates on this developing story.